Time for a chat with Pat.
Yes, and today we have with us someone you've heard before, and you've also heard, if you listen to The Virtuous Life, it's Constance Hull. She's a wife, mother, spiritual mother, writer, speaker. She's served in pro-life ministry, Seven Sisters, and other ministries dedicated to praying for priests and seminarians, campus ministry, director of faith formation. Boy, I could go on forever. She contributes to Catholic Exchange, and that's what we're talking about today. There's an article in Catholic Exchange, and it is called "Children Are Never Too Young to Know Christ." And I love this. Welcome, Constance, to the show. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me, Pat.
Oh, well, this was a great article, Constance. So, and you wrote it with your daughter, Michaela. So, my question is, what kind of led you to kind of talk about this and write this article?
Well, the credit really has to go to my daughter, Michaela, who turns 15 next week. She's
Ooh.
becoming a young woman and,
Yeah.
and devoted follower of Christ. And she had this experience where someone she was working with in ministry was talking about how there's not a lot of need to try to push kids in evangelization because they're too young. And I've encountered that as well when I was
Right.
a director of faith formation. And she was rather incensed. So she started writing it. And then I read it and I was like, hey, why don't we write this together? We could publish it with my normal Thursday contribution to Catholic Exchange. So I went through and kind of added some theology and some things in, but it was really her that was motivated and inspired to write it.
Well, one of the things, she relates a story about when she was small, and how she kind of stood up for the faith. Can you share that with our audience? I thought it was great.
Yeah, we were very proud of her. So in second grade, she was in a Catholic school at the time, and they had a substitute teacher, and they were about to go to daily mass. And the substitute teacher told all the students in preparation for mass to eat their snacks. And our daughter, knowing you have to fast at least 1 hour before receiving Holy Communion, told the teacher, well, we can't do that. We have to fast. And he went and talked to some of the other teachers and made the decision to have the students eat their snack. And she tried to explain it. Nobody would listen. So she refused to eat her snack. And the students were kind of making fun of her, but she stood, firm in her knowledge of what we're supposed to do in preparation for Holy Communion. So we were very proud of her.
Oh my gosh, yeah, and I think that is so great. And another line jumped out at me in this article, Constance, and I want you to kind of give us some insight into this. You mentioned the idea what young people, what children crave, in a sense, is authenticity rather than programs. Can you give us some insight into that? What does that mean for us when you're saying authenticity rather than programs? Because at times we tend to be the next new program that comes along, we jump on board.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something that a lot of us are trying to figure out in the church. When I was a director of faith formation, the priest and I, when we were trying to revamp our program, realized that a lot of them were just not working. And I saw the same thing with my daughter when she would go to religious formation, and she's homeschooled now, so she takes classes through that. But, kids aren't really looking for entertainment per se, because that doesn't really drive home the message. We also realized that, especially young kids, by creating programs that seem more like school, they disengage. And so what kids are really looking for is us living authentic lives of discipleship, deeply in love with Jesus, people of prayer, people of service, who radiate the light of Christ. And they can see that. They can see us trying to live that versus us just trying to entertain them and to provide programs that are just fun but lack the rich, deep encounter with Christ in the church. And so I think that a lot of times our programs fail because they come across to these young people as, okay, this is just something that I have to check off the list and just to entertain and fill time. And instead, what they want to see is people boldly living the faith.
So, Constance, why do you think we underestimate the faith of children? Why do we think, well, they're too young, they don't get it? Is it because sometimes I think we're too much engaged with the mind and not the supernatural, that there's something else going on? I'm not even sure how to describe that. So I want you to kind of take a shot at this for me.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think that, and I was like that for a long time where, yes, St. Paul tells us, we need to put on Christ in the renewal of our mind, but that doesn't mean that we stay there.
Right.
And it's only in the mind. No, it's when the Lord transforms our hearts and our soul, the very depths of our soul, that we're truly transformed. And so that has to be accomplished through the supernatural virtues and through the gifts of the sacraments. But I think sometimes we don't think that the Lord is operating at a supernatural level. We're kind of like, well, if we just give these doctrinal facts, then that'll do it. Well, no, there's supposed to be a loving encounter with Christ that does act supernaturally. I mean, I've seen amazing, things happen in the supernatural life. I've seen people healed. I've seen people delivered. I've seen lives completely transformed. And that's, the message is Christ has come to truly heal and deliver and save us. And I think that we are not living that faith boldly. And in many ways, we over-rationalize it, and then kids disengage because they naturally are filled with wonder.
Yeah.
So if you tell them of Christ's miracles, they're going to believe it. But
Yeah.
we kind of downplay it like it's embarrassing. It's like, no, this is our faith. This is like God is acting in incredible life-transforming ways, and we should be giving that to our kids so they believe in the supernatural, not just a list of facts. It's like, I can learn about Abraham Lincoln, but I don't actually know Abraham Lincoln because he's dead, but I can know the living God.
Right.
And so if I just give people facts about Jesus, then they're not in a supernatural relationship with him. Instead, there needs to be both. Like, here is like what we teach in the church, but we also live supernaturally, and the Lord is acting with the Father and the Holy Spirit right now, not just 2,000 years ago.
Right. So it kind of sounds, Constance, like obviously the family is the heart of this helping kids with this relationship with Christ. But every now and then, and Carlo Acutis, St. Carlo Acutis is mentioned in your article, every now and then we get people like him where it doesn't feel like there's much support in the family. And he's the one at like 7 years old that kind of takes the lead here. So how do we kind of reconcile that, do you think?
Yeah, well, I think it's twofold. When I was a director of faith formation and then in campus ministry, one of the great problems of the age that I see is parents are not evangelized. Mm-hmm. And so we've kind of dropped the ball in formation because we haven't evangelized parents who are the primary catechists, and they're the ones who should be really teaching their children the faith. And so there's that piece of it. But then, yes, I've also encountered a lot of my college students who are coming from families where their parents didn't practice anymore, or they've converted from Protestantism or other faiths, even Islam. And that's just the work of the Holy Spirit that the Lord, desires to call them to himself in his mysterious plan. So I think it's kind of twofold. Like, God is always operative even when it's not perfect conditions, but we can help by creating good environments.
Well, Constance, thanks so much for taking time to be with us today. I really appreciate it, and have a great week ahead.
Thanks so much, Pat.